WCNC Charlotte. This is Flashpoint, where power and politics collide and the tough questions get asked and answered.
Thanks for joining us here on Flashpoint. I'm Ben Thompson. This week, we're talking about the state of abortions here in the Carolinas, 1 week after the Supreme Court struck down a constitutional right to have one. In North Carolina, abortion is still legal. Republicans in Raleigh have indicated they plan to introduce stricter regulations next year. Governor Cooper will veto any of those measures. Currently, Republicans don't have enough votes to override his veto, but elections this fall could very well change that. In South Carolina this week, the fetal heartbeat bill took effect, banning abortions after 6 weeks. State lawmakers want to tighten abortion restrictions even more. Now there's a bill aiming to ban all abortions with few exceptions. Joining us now, Charlotte Congresswoman Alma Adams. She's the co-founder and co-chair of the Black Maternal Health Caucus. Congresswoman, thanks for coming on. As always, we appreciate it.
Thanks, Ben. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you as well. As you know, the United States ranks at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to maternal health and mortality. And when you take a closer look at those numbers, black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die from a complication compared to white women. It strikes me that regardless of how someone feels about the issue of abortion, there's a real legitimate reason to be worried about some of our expectant mothers out there. This really didn't usher in a systematic improvement in our healthcare system at all. What happens next?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me today. And I think one of the things I want to say to folks in terms of what the Supreme Court just did, I need for people to realize that abortion care is still legal in the state of North Carolina, as well as other states as well. Even in South Carolina, it is legal for the first 6 weeks and clinics are open, but if you can't get the care there, you can receive it in North Carolina. Well, you know, this decision doesn't change the fact that abortion is still health care, and people are going to need to access it, and now it's going to be a state-by-state fight, which is really problematic as far as I'm concerned. I served in the state legislature, and I know that we should have the same rights throughout this country. So so hopefully at some point we'll be able to have a law that will allow everything to be equal all over. But, you know, we're talking about other things that probably will be ended based on the opinion of Judge Thomas when he mentioned that we should reconsider Obergefell and Griswold and Lawrence. And so I'm just really distressed about the whole thing, but, you know, I'm not distressed so much that we're not going to work hard to make sure that the women have the right, the people who need to have an abortion, and this is health care, that they'll have it and they'll be able to access it.
How comfortable, how confident are you that abortion will remain legal in North Carolina?
Well, I just believe that women are going to stand up, people, men and women. So, I mean, you know, a lot of it's going to depend on, I guess, who's in the legislature. That's always the case. You know, I tell folks you don't change policy until you change policymakers change their minds, or, you know, we have another way of changing them. But I'm hoping that we will be able to appeal to our state and that it will still remain legal. But, you know, but I think if people continue to speak out and speak up, that we get folks prepared for this fight, because it is going to be one. Hopefully we'll be able to maintain it.
What's this mean for maternal health? You've come on this show talking about maternal health for years. What changed in the last week?
Well, that means that black and brown women are those who will be impacted the hardest, I believe. Those who live in rural areas, those who have lower incomes and can't afford to cross state lines for care, young people, LGBTQ people, and women in abusive relationships. But we know that we already have concerns about black women, and the fact that we're dying at higher rates in terms of giving birth, etc. This is going to exacerbate the problem. So I'm concerned about that as well. If you have the funds, if you can travel, and that kind of thing, then you don't have to worry. But so many people don't have that and won't have it, and so it's going to impact these women probably at greater degrees than others.
What's wrong? You mentioned this earlier, but what's wrong? Being that states are different, North Carolina and South Carolina are different. North Carolina is different than, say, Massachusetts. What's wrong with this being decided on a more local level?
Well, because, well, listen, as I said, I've served in the state house, and differences. We see differences among folks who are serving. They have different opinions about women's rights, LGBTQ people's rights, and so we should have the right that folks have in North Carolina. If it is the right, it should be available to folks in every other state, and so we should not be judgmental in that way to say that you can be treated fairly. You can determine your own health care. You can determine what to do with your body only if you live in a particular state. I mean, that should be available to women and folks in every state. And so that's the problem when you do a state by state. You're going to have differences in all over the country. And so we need a uniform system, and it needs to be available to everyone. The right should be available to everyone wherever they live. They shouldn't have to travel. They don't have the funding. Then if you've got children, and we understand that a number of folks who have abortions already have children.
You mentioned gay rights, and it being this last week, the end of Pride Month. I feel I should ask, what does this mean, if anything, for married gay couples, gay families in North Carolina?
Well, that means that all of these things could be overturned. When you look at what Judge Thomas has asked to have put back on the table, we're talking about everybody being impacted, including folks, LGBTQ people, straight people, everybody. This is going to impact every single person. So I am, it goes further than when we say that this particular decision was designed for doing away with Roe v. Wade, with Roe, but yet when we put these other things on the table, we're think other things can be impacted and will be, including who you can marry, personal decisions that you want to make about your health, interracial and same-sex marriage, the right for queer people to exist in public, the right to contraception. All of those things will, have the possibility of being impacted now.
Final question. This week you held a men's health forum. We've been talking about women's health, and that's a very different, distinct conversation. Your first ever men's health forum, which is also important for very different reasons, though.
Well, yes, men, for example, unlike women, more often than women, don't seek medical attention that could improve the quality of their lives. They avoid talking about their health conditions with their families and friends. They suffer in silence, we say, because they don't want to share. And so we're hoping that this forum will, provide some light on that subject. We know that men, for example, the deck is stacked against them. They have a life expectancy of 76 years. Women have a life expectancy of 81 years. And so men are 4 times more likely to die by suicide, less likely to visit a doctor, for example. So we're hoping to encourage men. June, of course, is Men's Health Month. Also, we celebrate Father's Day and men. So we want our men to remain healthy, because these are our sons, our brothers, our husbands, our fathers, and they're not just statistics, and they shouldn't be. And so we want to get them on the right path, keep them on the right path, so that they can live a good quality, long life.
men, women, moms, doing your part to make sure your constituents are healthy out there. All right, Congresswoman Alma Adams. Congressman, thanks for coming on as always. We appreciate it.
And thank you so much. You have a great day.
All right, more Flashpoint after this.